Hi guys, it's Kayla and Matthew.
Hello.
Welcome back to the No One Can Hear You Stream podcast. Thank you for joining us. We wanted to start a new segment since our podcast is heavily based around movies, TV series, and music. We wanted to give a quick review of a movie that we've seen this week and tell you guys whether or not we think it's worth seeing in the movies, or if you should wait till it comes out on streaming platforms, or even if you should just disregard seeing it altogether. Remember, we are not critical movie experts, but we do have opinions and we think they're pretty valid.
And we go to the cinema every week, so expect a new episode every week.
Yes, and hold us accountable to that so we stay more consistent. In the meantime, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, let us know what content you want to hear. Also, just so you guys know, Matthew has created a playlist that has all of the albums that have been chosen from the regular No One Can Hear You Stream episodes. So you can listen to that on Spotify or on iTunes, right? There's a shared playlist.
There's a shared playlist on iTunes, correct.
So you can go on there and type in No One Can Hear You Stream and you'll find those playlists. And check out our new YouTube channel. We've started uploading our audio episodes to there, and hopefully we'll start getting some video soon as well. So I guess we should jump right into it. Our movie this week that we saw was called Waves. If you have not heard of it, notably it stars Sterling K. Brown from This Is Us. He's kind of been making the jump over into film, it seems, from television. And
yeah, we've seen him in a lot of trailers this year so far. Every time we've gone to the cinema, he seems to be in a new film.
Yeah, and he was in Black Panther, apparently. Do you remember him in Black Panther?
No.
Me either, but apparently he was in it. Anyway, it seems like he's been trying to make his jump to the big screen off of the small screen, and I haven't seen all of This Is Us. I think I've seen about 2 or 3 seasons, and he's one of my favorite characters on that. He's a great actor, so I have to say, like, I was excited to see him in this movie kind of stepping into a different role, although I do feel like this isn't a far jump from who he is.
This is family drama.
Yeah, family
and that's
drama.
What This Is
yeah,
Us.
Yeah. So
as soon as you see his name attached to something, though, I get excited. And I've not seen him in much, but from the little I've seen of him, he's a fucking great actor.
Yeah, he's a great actor. I mean, we both thought that this was going to be his Oscar push, but and I'll get into it a little bit more after seeing the movie. I don't really think so.
Yeah,
but
the trailer, let's just jump in straight away. The trailer made it look like he was a heavy part of this film, and he's probably in it for 5 minutes.
I wouldn't say 5 minutes.
It's very long. Okay, yeah, not 5 minutes, but after probably the first quarter of the film, you don't see him again until right near the end, do you?
It's very much from the trailer, it seems like it's going to be a movie about a father and a son's relationship. And I'm not saying that it's not that, because I do think that the idea of their relationship plays a big role.
Yeah.
But it's more from the children's perspective.
It's the fallout from the relationship that the kid has with his father, rather than seeing them actually arguing every 10 seconds on screen.
You feel their tension, and it seems like it's mostly unspoken. So you get the idea that he has tension with his father from the little interaction that they have, like from their lack of interaction rather than, when they're together. Because when they're together, you kind of see them bonding, like when they're working out and stuff like that. I guess we should kind of give a little bit of a synopsis without giving away exactly what happens. But the first half of the film centers around the son of upper middle class family in Miami, and the pressures, the social pressures and the pressures from his family to be successful and work really hard and do well and get into a good school, and the repercussions of him going through certain things and feeling like a failure, and what that leads him to do. So that's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to give too much away, but I feel like that's a pretty good...
I think one line that basically describes the film is that the father says to the son, we are not afforded the luxury of being average.
Yeah, that's
so
in the trailer.
He's a pushy parent, basically.
You get that he just wants his son to be great and successful and have a good life for him. And I think the whole movie kind of based around like communication and the lack of communication, and how when you're not expressing openly how you're feeling, how that can just really lead you down a dark path. And then the second half of the film kind of focuses on the daughter of the family and her
after a major event, which
yeah,
we can't describe because it'll ruin the entire film.
And her reaction to that, and how this horrible thing that happens to their family, ultimately in the end you get the impression that it opens them up and they kind of realize like, we can't afford to not talk to each other about these things. Mm-hmm. So overall I really liked the film. I would say it was about 25 minutes too long.
Well, yeah, it did. But this is the thing. Like the first probably 20 minutes is at like a dizzying pace. It moves so quickly. Even the camera work, you turned to me and said like, I feel dizzy because it's just like swinging around like in a vortex. It's like the camera's caught in a vortex. Almost.
Yeah, well, and I think that's the idea, like, because it's from the son's perspective, and you're supposed to get this dizzying, overwhelming feeling, like he clearly is feeling. You know, that his life is just so busy and overwhelming and full, and you can't really focus. And to me, I fucking hated probably the first 15 minutes of the film because I literally couldn't focus. And I understand that was the point.
The intention was to make you like put you in his place. But I was like his life just so overwhelming that.
Yeah, but I couldn't stand it. I was like, please just let this be over. So when it finally like started to come into focus, I felt relieved, but there was like a whole chunk of the movie when the son's kind of dealing with this aggression and the pressure that I was just like, all right, we get it. You know what I mean? We get it. He's feeling overwhelmed. So
I kind of enjoyed the camera work. It like, especially when the characters were going through these extreme emotions. It was so close up to their face that you could feel it. Like there's one scene where he's wrestling some guy, and is this going to ruin it if I say? He experiences pain. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
And the camera's so close up that it's so uncomfortable, isn't it? Like every scene where a character is going through an extreme emotion, you're right there with them because the camera's like 2 centimeters away from it, and you feel every bit of it.
I think just because I have anxiety, that stuff like that is, you know, expressing that other person's stresses and anxiety, and I really feed off of that energy, and it makes me so anxious. I just don't like it. So it makes me too uncomfortable because I'm already such an anxious person. And I mean, that's why I don't like to watch a lot of horror films, because I don't like, it puts me in a bad mood, like for the rest of the day, because I just feel anxious, and it's a hard thing for me to get out of that headspace. And I have a hard time not empathizing with people, even if they're not real people. That it just like, I don't know, I feel truly heartbroken, and I feel like all the emotions that they're feeling, that's how I feel on the inside. So when somebody's like that anxious and so stressed out, it just stresses me out too much. And then you add in that crazy camera work that just
exacerbates all of the emotions.
Yes, it just innately makes you feel more anxious. Yeah. And I didn't like it, but I can appreciate the creativity behind it. Performance wise, I thought everyone was great. Yeah.
The son, portrayed by Kelvin Harrison Jr., pretty much bared the entire weight of the film on his shoulders for the first half of it. And he was incredible, especially because you go into the film thinking it's going to be Sterling K. Brown the entire way through, and then finding out that it isn't him and everything's on this young chap, and he carried it. He did great.
Yeah, and then the second half, the daughter who was in, I knew her from Lost in Space. That's where I remembered her from. Her name's Taylor Russell, the actress. I thought she did a great job too.
Yeah,
and it just seems like the second half of the film, it almost feels like you're watching two movies. Yeah. Like the second half of the film just has a much more gentle, introspective, not relaxed, but
this was really sweet seeing a
sincere
young relationship blossom on screen, and it was really tender. It was nice.
Yeah.
Especially after the first fucking hour where you just your fingers are digging into your seat because you're just feeling anxious.
Yeah. Very well juxtaposed, I would say. And a very interesting, like, coming of age story, I would say. I mean, there's parts of it that I'm just like, fucking teenagers. Do you know what I mean? Like, there were parts of me that was like, if they only knew how stupid they were being, like, you know what I mean? And how
but that's where you empathize with them because you were that age.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, I probably would have done. No, you wouldn't have done what. This is spoiler territory again, but you wouldn't do the things that they do in this film because it's obviously
horrible,
exaggerated, and it's like the other end of the spectrum. But everyone did stupid shit when they were a kid.
Yeah, but it just shows you like how easily you can be pushed to the edge, and also just like how people are just people, and even really well-intentioned good people who just want to do right can really snap. And it's really sad. And the whole time you're just thinking like, oh man, if they would have just talked to each other, you know what I mean?
This is the first film I've seen in a long time at the cinema where when the event happens, everybody gasped in the entire cinema. I've never experienced that before. And so it was really shocking.
It was shocking, but at the same time you could see it coming. Like you knew it was going to happen.
But it still paid off.
Right, but you're like, no, please don't. And the whole time you're just, because I think it's just the way they shot it, and almost like this, you felt like you go from this really fast-paced, like dizzying feeling to it suddenly slows down, and then you almost feel like you're moving at a turtle's pace, like slow motion.
Like lethargy, and it because of this the drunk sensation that one of the actors is feeling, and you kind of go through that with them.
But it wasn't like the typical cheesy woo-woo slow-mo.
No.
I don't know what it was.
And it didn't like blur the screen or anything. It was like, hey, he's drunk.
No, it was just very much, you felt like things were taking so much longer than they needed to. So it was very, I thought that was a good way to shoot it, because everybody could just feel that moment happening, and you're just hoping it doesn't happen, but you know it's going to happen. And it's just awful.
Yeah. I think the only criticism I have of the film, one part of it's a plus, another part is a negative, right? The soundtrack was incredible.
Soundtrack was so good.
Everyone from Tame Impala, Frank Ocean, Tyler the Creator, Kanye West.
Animal Collective, I think, was on there.
A bunch of people. It was great. But at times, like, they probably fit 30 songs into these 2 hours. So at times it felt like little vignettes just to have these songs playing almost. Like it would skip, and it would only play 30 seconds of a song, so it would skip from track to track. It was almost like a teenager, like just flicking through his iPhone or something, just playing 30 seconds of a song. Like, oh, I've heard that now, I'm going to skip it. Yeah. It just felt kind of odd to me at points.
I get what you're saying, but I don't know. It felt like the music was heavily influenced by the story. Like almost like, especially coming from a young person's perspective, the whole story it makes sense to me, because that's how I was. Like
exactly how I was. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it made sense, but it was also slightly annoying. It was like 30 seconds of a song, then skip to this next pack. Oh, he's wrestling. Let's play this song. Oh, now he's at a party. Let's play this song. Mm-hmm. It was just a little bit annoying, but it only happened over say 10 or 15 minutes. But the soundtrack's great. But
yeah, the soundtrack was so good.
We
kept turning and looking at each other like, yeah, this song, that song. Like, it was so funny.
So I suppose we should give our opinion whether watch it at the cinema, wait till it comes out on Netflix or whatever, or just skip it entirely.
I think it's worth seeing in the theater, just because of the way that it's shot, to get that full effect of of everything and the spinning feeling, and I feel like almost can't be done on a small, not to the effect that it does on a big screen. I mean, the movie was made to be on a big screen, I feel like. Yeah. Almost in a way that a lot of family dramas don't need to be. This one, I think, not that you couldn't watch it on a small screen, I still think it would be good, but the overwhelmingness that you
would be so overwhelmed by
it. Exactly.
Part of what the film is trying to do, I think.
I think you won't get the full effect of it unless you see it on the big screen.
Cinema,
yeah.
I think it's worth seeing just for the last song that plays during the closing credits. Alabama Shake, Sound and Color. I've never heard that song sound so good. But obviously through fucking $50,000 speakers at your cinema, it just sounded like crystal clear. It sounded so good. I kind of liked that song before, but after seeing that film, I was like, fucking Alabama Shakes are great.
Well, I thought, that's a good point. Like, there were also these interesting transitions that they did, where it would just be like a really saturated color on the screen, and then it would kind of like fade out into being somebody's face, like a close up on their face, or the screen would black out, and then music would start playing, and it almost felt like a soundscape. That, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that song definitely encompasses that to finalize it. Well, it was so interesting though, I do feel like the movie was probably 25 minutes too long, but then when it ended, I was like, oh, it's over?
Yeah, I was disappointed when it finished, but at the same time, got shit to do today, so
yeah.
Like it's 2.5 hours or something. So.
But you know what I mean? So it was interesting. I feel like in retrospect, I understand the way it was, but I felt like I wanted more of the second half and less of the first half.
I don't know. I don't think you'd be saying that if the first half was shorter, because
then
after getting your heart ripped out of your chest, you get this just like sweet, somber the right word?
It is somber in some respect. It is sad. It's sweet and sad. It's very bittersweet. But it just comes full circle. So it's a happy end. It's a bittersweet ending for a sad story, basically.
Yeah. Well, so go and watch it then.
Yeah. And tell us what you think of this new little segment we have.
This will be uploaded to YouTube and wherever we put our podcast, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play. Mm-hmm. So comment on YouTube, subscribe as well.
Like it.
If you want.
Donate. Just kidding. We don't have anything to donate. I can give you my Venmo handle.
Put $5 in a letterbox and it'll come to us.
Donate some trees to Mr. Beast.
Mr. Beast. And yeah, go and watch Waves.